Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the long-term podcast.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what first drew you to high ticket sales, and how did you land your first clients or deal?
So I was, playing around with these online business models for a while. You have all these like online business gurus teach you like SMMA, social media marketing agencies, right? Or software as a service. I was trying to do affiliate marketing. I actually grew a meme page as well to a couple thousand followers. So I was trying all of these different business models, but I wasn't really making any money, right? So that got me to kind of introspect and, figure out where am I going wrong? Like I'm doing exactly what they're telling me to do. Like the fulfillment side of my business is sorted out, but I'm not able to get clients. And that's kind of when it clicked. And I'm like, I need to learn sales. I'm actually terrible at sales, right? Which is what most people are like when they get into business, right? They think that, oh, just because I have a business idea, I can make a lot of money. That's not really true, because the money is made when the customers come into the business, right? Which is sales. So once I kind of knew I needed to learn sales, I was like, okay, how do I learn sales, right? And like with any other skill, you learn it by practicing it, right? So I was like, how do I practice it, right? And I had some buddies that were doing 100% commission-based sales job with Telus, knocking on strangers' doors, selling them Telus products and services. And it was kind of crazy, but it got me excited because I'm like, hey, Telus is a multi-billion-dollar company, right? They have customers buying their stuff every single day. If I can plug myself into that process, I can get trained on sales, I can practice sales. And once I have those skills, plus a little bit of money saved up, then I'm in a position to actually go start a business and be successful, right? So that's all I did. Like these 100% commission-based jobs, they're always hiring because they pay you only when you get a closed deal, right? So they're more than happy to bring on people, right? So yeah, from there, just applied for the Telus job, got started. And then after that, I moved into, higher ticket products. I started working with online coaches to sell coaching, mentorship, courses, things like that. And then currently right now, I'm managing a solar sales team. So we sell solar panels residentially, right? So that's kind of my story in short.
Well,
yeah,
full commission, right? And sales, you hear so many times from people that that's where the money's at, right? But it's also the highest, one of the highest job turnover rates.
Yeah. It's
there.
not for everyone. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
But like you gravitated towards building a business and wanting to make a name for yourself, right? And just going about things. Why? Like is this because you've always wanted to as a kid? Like was it taught by your parents?
I think more than like creating a name for myself, for me, it was always about gaining freedom, right? I am not the kind of guy that likes taking orders. I don't want to ask when I can eat lunch, right? I don't want to ask, oh, it's my sister's wedding, I need a couple days off. Things like that. They really piss me off and they hit me really deep. And I'm like, no, I want a life of freedom, right? I want to be able to do what I want to do with the people I want to do it with anytime I want, right? So that kind of freedom, it's really hard to build in like typical 9-to-5 jobs. It's pretty much impossible, right? So I knew I had to like build a business. That was the only way I could build a life of freedom. And the other thing with commission-based, well, when you're building a business, it is commission-based, right? Like a business only makes money when they get a customer, right? So, if you're an entrepreneur, nobody's giving you a base salary, right? So I was already on board with the 100% commission, and I saw this as a stepping stone to get me where I wanted to go. I'm like, awesome, let's do it.
Right? A lot of people say that 9-to-5s are just you're shackled down, right? And because you need to ask your boss for vacation days, and whenever you want to do something yourself, you need to always ask for permission, right? But I'd argue that actually takes less work. Yes, it's less freedom, but I think for building a business, you are working way more. Now,
absolutely.
I've had my experience with door to door as well. We were on the phone with it, talking about it for a little bit, and I was there for 2 weeks, and I know what it's like to put yourself out there. And I've talked to the guys that have started the business, and it's immensely tough on the mind.
Absolutely,
and I would much rather just work a 9 to 5 than actually put myself out there.
Absolutely, each to their own, right? It's pros and cons,
right? Yeah, but how do you deal with the mental fatigue and the strain, right? Because you have to go through constant rejection, putting yourself out there. Because
absolutely,
prior to sales, you said you were into creating your own brand. You even had a meme page, you said.
Yeah. I was trying a bunch of different business models. Yeah.
And so when you go about these businesses as well, you're constantly talking to other people and putting yourself out there. And there's that other side of us that goes, oh man, like, what are they thinking? Yeah, this is cringy. Like, I'm not, who am I? Right. What am I doing?
Yeah.
How do you battle that?
Yeah. Well, the two things that come to mind for that. First, am I allowed to swear here?
Yeah, you can swear. Yeah.
Well, the truth is nobody gives a fuck about you, bro. Honestly, like straight up, nobody gives a fuck about you. It's all in your head, right? We think we're so important. And the truth is everybody thinks that way, right? Everybody has themselves as the center of the stage in their story, right? So oftentimes when, you're overthinking and you're like, oh, like that was kind of cringy, or I shouldn't have said that. Like 90% of people didn't even register it, right? They didn't even think about it. And the ones that did, it was kind of in one ear, out the other, and they were back to thinking about themselves, right? So bottom line is honestly, nobody cares. And then the second thing, like it's on you to chase the dreams that you want to achieve, right? It's like, yeah, I want all these great things, but it comes with a price tag. And the price tag is hard work, rejection, right? And if you're not willing to pay the price, you can't have the things that you want to have. And on the other hand, if you're willing to pay the price, there's nothing stopping you, right? So it's just getting really dialed in and knowing what you want and knowing what you're willing to do to get it, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Have you always had that mindset though? Because I can tell you're a person that has gone through copious amounts of rejection, right? Being in sales for how many years now?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. So we have a saying in sales, no matter how good you get, no's are always part of the game. You're not going to sell everybody. People are going to say no. It's just part of it.
Yeah. How do you not take it personally though? Like I feel like when you're in sales, like negative interactions just are rampant. They're abundant, right?
I don't know, man. I've reached a point where I just find it funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone yells at me and they're like, get out of here. I don't want anything to do with this. I just find it funny. I'm like, damn, you must be having a bad day to yell at a stranger.
Yeah.
Right? The other thing is half the time, like the rejection is truly not personal. Like they're not personally telling no to you, right? They might be saying no to the product, the company. They might just be busy. They might be in the middle of something. They don't have the capacity to hear you out. Like very rarely is it personal. And even then it's like, well, they just know me based off of this one interaction. They don't really know who I am on a deeper level. So how could they reject it?
Yeah, that's something that is told to so many people, but I can tell you've actually internalized this after 3 years, right?
I guess, yeah.
Do you remind yourself of this every day, or is it just something that you don't
remind
really
myself? How so?
Like, oh, this person that I interacted with knocked on their door and they told me to fuck off, right? Then you tell yourself, oh, that person's probably going through something. They're probably
So I think when you're new, you need to have a positive self-talk and you need to consciously keep brushing that rejection off and reminding yourself. But after I'd say like the 4 to 6 month mark, that's where things kind of just click and it starts becoming who you are and you realize it's not a big deal, right? So for me right now, I don't really have to remind myself. It's just, it's part of it. I'm like, whatever, doesn't matter.
How do you think this has helped you in the other facets of your life?
Sales or just the rejection thing?
Both. Yeah.
Because sales applies to everything in life. Like, honestly, I don't know how people get through life without having sales abilities because everything is sales. Like, if you want to ask a girl out, like that's sales, right? If you want to get a promotion at work, that is sales. If you, I don't know, you want to convince your friend that pineapple on pizzas are tasty, that's sales. Like, everything in life is pretty much just sales, right? With rejection, I think when you have that tough skin built and you're able to handle rejection, it just opens so many more opportunities for you, right? Like I used to be pretty shy with putting myself out there, especially on social media, but now I really don't care, right? And that opens up so many more connections, so many more opportunities. I mean, that's how I met you. And here we are, right? So it just it clicks in and it applies to pretty much everything.
Yeah, kind of that exposure therapy, right? Yeah. Like the more you do it, just the things that your mind adapts to it and it becomes the norm.
Yeah.
Like when I was posting podcasts initially, it's like why would people listen to me, right? I don't what do I have to say? But over time, right, it just becomes normal. It's like just eating.
Yeah, it just becomes who you are.
Yeah, like intermittent fasting, right? Like a lot of people go up to me and they go, how can you not eat for 16, 20 hours for like a full day and you're still fine? It's like, it's just I've adapted to it, and anyone can. Right? You can just build a mind, body, soul that is strengthened through repetition.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you're pretty well built. Like
thank you, bro.
All of this stuff, it's exactly like working out and exercising, right? When you first get to the gym, it takes a lot of motivation and discipline to get yourself there. It's painful. You don't really enjoy the process. You have to kind of force yourself to do it. But like, I'm sure you know this, like 1 or 2 years into hitting the gym consistently, you're like, I love the gym. Like I feel shitty if I miss going to the gym, right? And it just becomes who you are and it becomes easy.
Yeah, dude. Right? I can't imagine a day without the gym. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like so ingrained into the lifestyle. It's like, how do you even go about sales without this mental framework that you have, right? You've built it so much that you just knock on a door, you make the phone call, and it just flows.
Exactly.
Like you already have like the pattern recognition to know, oh, that's probably a buyer. That's, I should probably rest from that injury. But had you never done it because you're so, fixated on what other people are going to think and what you're about to, do, why this, like there's negative thoughts that can be discarded that have no net benefit to you. And then there's things like just doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Just do it. Because I've always been a really big overthinker. Like in school, I minored in philosophy. Like philosophy is just overthinking for pages and pages and pages. Right? So I've always been the kind of guy to get stuck in my thoughts. But what's really helped me is just understanding that just take action, right? Action solves all your overthinking. Just do it. That's it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like, when are you, I get this thought too, where I'll get a text and then there'll be a little bit of friction, right? I'll reply in 30 seconds and then it builds up more and more. And the next thing you know, to just reply, or it's like, scheduling time with that friend or that colleague, right? It's like, now you've built it up to this thing that is enormous when really it could have taken you, a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just, just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Exactly. Actually, since you've done a little bit of door to door, you might understand this. Like that first door of the day, right? You can really get stuck in your head when you're new. You're like, oh my God, like they're going to yell at me. Oh, I don't want to do this, right? Yeah. What if they say this? What if they say that? I don't know this thing about my product yet. What if they ask me about that? Right? And you can get really stuck up in your head. But the solution to it is where you just go knock that first door and be willing to burn it, right? Just get the momentum going. Just get started by taking action. And then the second door just becomes easier. The third one becomes even easier, right? And then next thing you know, you're in a flow state, you're having fun, you're talking to people, you're brushing off rejection, and maybe you're getting a sale, right?
Yeah.
So just take action.
Yeah. And you learn so much too. Like not only are you becoming more wealthy in regards to just money, right? And in regards to just the way things are in households. Right? Like, what does a happy person look like? Or what is like a household that seems intact?
Right.
And you could really tell the people that have their shit together, right? Versus the people that don't. And just through the copious amounts of doors that you go through the day, you kind of envision kind of what the life that you want.
Exactly.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just overthinking it.
No, absolutely. You get to see the whole spectrum, right? People with happy families, people with terrible relationships, people that have an organized, well-kept home versus people with a messy house. How happy do the two look? You can tell everything, and you can decide what kind of life do you want to live.
Yeah, I've heard the psychologist say that your house is the state of your house is a predictor for
Absolutely
how you feel about yourself and how things are going on in your life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You can little peek in the living room and you just know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How many doors do you think you've knocked over the 3 years?
I've never done the math, but a bunch for sure.
Yeah. Let's get a week. Let's say a week.
Well, so when you're new, you end up going through more doors because you're having shorter conversations. But then once you start, getting better, you're having longer conversations and it's fewer doors. So for my first year, I probably was doing like 50 doors a day. Right now, it's more like, well, I don't really knock on doors anymore. I just go to appointments.
You're the manager now, right?
Yeah, I'm managing a team too. So yeah, I don't really, maybe like 5 doors now a day. And usually I'll still get one appointment out of that. But for the last summer I was working, I was doing maybe like 20, 30 doors a day.
Wow.
Yeah. And then my first summer, like 50. So I don't know. You could do the math on that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of doors.
Oh, for many years, right?
Yeah.
When it's minus 32?
No, not really. No.
Usually in the summer then?
Yes, pretty much. Because it's like you make good enough money. Like I don't need to put myself through that. Like if I want, I could. Yeah. Right? There are people that do it if they need to, but for the most part, we work in the summer months. Yeah.
What do you think is the best interaction you've had? The first thing that comes to mind from your experience?
There are quite a few. I'd say the top ones are where the family just feeds me dinner. And and I'm just...
But you knock on the door and the interaction's so good and you guys are having dinner.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, with Telus, I used to sell security systems, right? So I'm literally protecting the family from break-ins, from fires, getting them a bunch of smart home gadgets, and it's a really good deal. And some people, they're just so grateful. They offer you a glass of water. You ask for a glass of, juice maybe. Next thing, they're feeding you. Right?
That's awesome,
yeah.
man.
And with solar, it happens even more because you see the family multiple times, right? These are, $30,000 deals. It's not like a quick thing, right? So you're building a relationship anyway. And at supper time, they always offer you food, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So those are the favorite ones for sure.
Yeah. I've heard that the best investment that you could have is relationships with people, like keeping it long term with people. That's when they come back and then they tell their friends. Versus if you half-ass it and you don't really leave an impact. Then they don't remember you, and in fact they're just gonna what separates you from the other person? It's like, no, you actually care. Like for them to actually invite you to their table makes
well, they can tell I'm not just there for a commission. I'm there to serve them and help them. And they can feel that. They're like, I want to help this guy back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
I think we can detect that, hey? I don't know. It's like intuition. Like I can't quite explain it, man, but like you can tell when somebody's just got like a good heart.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yes, they're trying to make a living.
Yeah.
But they're trying to help.
In sales, we call it commission breath. Because it's like a bad breath. When you have a bad breath, you can't smell it, but everybody around you knows. It's kind of the same thing. When you're in your head, you're just trying to get your commission. People can sense that off you, right?
Yeah.
100%.
It's like that guy who's like really desperate, right? I just really want this girl. I want the
exactly.
And then of course you chase you chase them away.
Yeah, it's a creepy guy in the bar who's like kind of tapping on every girl's shoulder and just being like, trying to get some pussy. You can tell.
Yeah, true. There's this quote of it's not quite the exact one, but chase the butterfly, the butterfly runs away. But build a beautiful garden, the butterflies come to you.
Exactly.
And like, well, with sales, like of course you're going up to them and you're trying to talk to them into buying your own product.
It's like,
but
who has the problem though?
Yeah. But like they usually right, if you build kind of an arsenal within the way you talk and the way you carry yourself, like people just flock to you. And if if you combine kind of the authenticity.
Well, the truth is they are the ones with the problem, right? Sure, you want your commission, you need to make money, but let's, get ourselves out of our head and look at the situation objectively. Who has the problem? It's your prospect that has the problem, right? So if you can be the one with the solution, right? And you can be in a kind of a detached kind of way of carrying yourself but it's like, I still have value to provide. And yeah, there are all these sales tactics you're doing, but you're mentally detached because, if not this person, so the next person's going to buy, right? That makes people flock to you because they're the ones with the problem anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
It's always the question of what do I have to offer others versus how do I get rich, or how do I get this girl to like me, or what do I offer that's valuable that people can make their lives better? If you answer that question and it actually works, then you're going to be very, very wealthy.
Yeah.
But if you go, how can I cheat, lie, and like, no, it's short term. Eventually you're going to be caught and you're going to lose it all because usually it's a scam. You're lying to yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And, in sales, we have a lot of sketchy people that are trying to, push the line, and it's all gray area stuff. Those kind of people, they never stick the long term, right? Because in the short term, you can get away, doing unethical things, but in the long term, it's not going to work, right? People catch on to it, right?
I see that with friendships, right? With people that are jumping from relationship to relationship, with people that get really invigorated at the start with the gym, and then they quit. You see that in sales, where it's like, they have so much energy and drive, but the reasons are wrong, or they just don't stick at it for the long term. And usually, usually the errors that they make are not finding who they truly are, and not treating people better.
That's definitely a part of it. Yeah.
So can you walk us through your typical client process from first contact to closing the sale?
So, sales interactions, they always have a similar flow. And I would argue it actually starts before the first contact, right? With this thing called prospecting, right? So when you're prospecting, you're trying to gather as much information as possible before you even start a conversation, right? So when we go door knocking, for example, we have logged pins of people that knocked that neighborhood before. So you're able to see, okay, who's a renter, who's a homeowner, who isn't a qualified prospect anyway, right? Or for example, if I'm talking to a homeowner, they're not qualified, I can still ask them about rest of the neighborhood and gather information about all the other people that they know, right? And the more information you have, the more you're able to kind of tailor your pitch when you talk to them, right? So the sales process, it starts first with prospecting. The very next thing you want to do is when you talk to the prospect, you want to make sure they're qualified, right? So you would ask questions that tell you if you're talking to the right person, right? Oftentimes they're not the decision maker. Oftentimes the product isn't a good fit for them. And you want to figure that out as soon as possible so that you don't waste time doing a full presentation with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now if you have gathered information and they are a qualified prospect, that's when you can move on to doing your presentation, right? Now in the presentation, you want to build this thing called a gap, right? So the gap, it's built by, highlighting the prospect's current position and the desired position, right? And your product is going to fill that gap, right? So in the presentation, you want to get very clear and help the prospect understand that the gap exists, right? So this is done in three main ways. One, it's by building pain around the current situation, right? Highlighting all the problems that they have, and also building value around the product and highlighting the desired position by painting pictures, right? In sales, we say, features tell, but benefits sell, right? You don't want to be like, for example, this camera, right? You could say, oh, it's like 4K and it's got these features and that features, right? Or you could say that, this gets you the best quality video with the shortest amount of storage. For example, I'm just making stuff up.
Yeah, no, right? But it works. One thing, it actually is relevant to you.
Yeah.
And that versus the other ones, you're just spouting out.
Like features. Yeah. It's like a list of features that isn't going to persuade anyone into doing anything, right? You need to paint pictures. You need to get them to imagine themselves actually using it, right? So this is all done in the presentation. And then typically the prospect is going to have some objections, right? So the next phase is to handle the objections. Once the objections are handled, you close the deal, do the paperwork, get the job done, right? So that's what the typical sales process looks like. When you start selling like really high ticket products, typically there are two kinds of sales positions, right? Because you need to split it up into multiple interactions, right? Like, for example, $30,000 solar system, you can't sell that on a doorstep. That's ridiculous. Nobody's signing up for that, right? So typically the way it's done, and this is the same as business to business deals, right? It's the same as any other high ticket product or high ticket service. What you would have is an outbound sales rep that is doing cold outreach to strangers, either cold calling or door knocking. What they do is they set up appointments. And then at the appointment, you have an account executive or a closer come in and actually do the presentation and close the deal, right? So both of these sales positions, they still follow a similar sales process. It's just the appointment setter is selling the appointment and the closer is actually selling the product. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Following. It's a long process, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
So you, first of all, you need to make sure you find qualified buyers. And you do that through calls, sales. And then the next trudge is setting up an appointment with them and making sure you go over everything. And within all of these, you're ensuring that they understand what you're selling. Because if they don't understand what you're selling and you're just spouting out just benefits or features rather than benefits, then how does this make their lives better?
Yeah, exactly.
And how often do you guys get to the appointment kind of area? How often do you guys...
What are the ratios?
Yeah, what are the ratios? So is it like 90%?
It really depends on the person and the way they're setting the appointments, right? But I will give you like a best case scenario, like an ideal case, what it should be at, provided they're doing all the right things. So, an experienced sales rep with the necessary skills, they'll talk to maybe 5 to 10 people and get an appointment. Now, out of 3 appointments, 1 or 2 should sit down. Out of 2 appointments, 1 should definitely close. Right? So those are kind of the standard ratios.
And how many appointments? Is it just 1? Or
how many appointments? What do you mean?
Yeah, like after they somebody knocks on someone's door, and they're like, yeah, we're interested, set up an appointment. Like when do they actually sign and close the deal? Yeah,
typically it takes 1 to 2 appointments.
The 2?
Oh, 1 to 2 meetings with the same person to close the deal.
Yeah. Is it in person or?
Yeah, in person.
Okay.
We do a little bit of online, but it's a lot trickier online. When you have someone there physically, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like, would we want to do this podcast online or in person?
In person's always better.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But it depends on the product and service. Like when I was working with online coaches, obviously they have massive brands online. All of their followers aren't in the same city, in the same location. Their coaching, their mentorship is all done online. So it makes more sense to close the deals online as well. Right.
Yeah.
But obviously in person would still be better if possible.
Yeah. Just a lot more authentic, and you get to see somebody, talking full in view.
Yeah.
Because everything, not only are you getting information from the 30,000, 40,000 around there. It varies on like the size of the home and how much they want, right?
Yeah.
You're getting to see who this person is, how they interact, because going back to what we said,
a connection in person.
Yeah. And then you can be more comfortable rather than online. It's a bit sketchy, right? You don't get to see them. Could be AI, could be
right.
Which actually, man, I was thinking of how the proliferation of AI being just within every single sector, academia, social media, just you see so many clips of people that are just deep faked, right? You don't know if they trust it.
Yeah.
Real life interactions will become so much more valuable.
100%.
And for
absolutely,
for you to be doing this, just one-on-one with people, I think that society will value that so much more with AI being more and more prevalent.
100%. Like I would say right now, like if you really tried, you can differentiate a deep fake from a real video, but we all know how quickly this technology is picking up. Like it's going to reach a point where it's like, if you saw it online, if you saw it on your phone, you have absolutely no clue if that's real or if that's AI. So people are going to start trusting online stuff a lot lesser, and it's going to make, in-person sales grow a lot more. So I'm happy to be in the right place.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some sales, or I think we already talked about this. How do you handle objections without coming off as pushy or defensive?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The first thing to understand is that it's never you versus the prospect, right? It's you and the prospect versus the problem that they have, right? So the way that we establish this is anytime someone gives you an objection, you want to make them feel heard and you want to agree with them, right? So there are two main, frameworks I use for objection handling. I can kind of tell you about them. The first one is agree, respond, redirect. And the second one is feel, felt, found, and then redirect, right? So I'll kind of dive deeper into what these actually mean, right? So with ARR, the first thing you're doing is, let's say someone says, I need to talk to the wife, right? Before I do this, right? First thing I would say is absolutely 100%. Like, I'm not married yet, but I love to involve my girlfriend in any big decisions, right? Of course, I understand you want to talk to the wife about this and run this by her, right? You see how that makes him feel heard, and it makes him understand that we're on the same team.
It's also relatable, right? Because this guy gets it.
Yeah,
right?
This guy gets it, right?
Mhm.
And the next thing is my response, right? So for the wife objection, typically I would be like, yeah, so like if you did talk to her, what would she like about it? And they would tell me all the reasons the wife wants to buy, and I would be like, yeah, and what would her concerns mainly be, right? Now, once they've told me that, I could, like, for example, if I'm selling solar, I could be like, yeah, so if the wife understood that this is going to save you $40,000 over the next 30 years, would she be against you doing this? Right? And they're probably going to say, no, she would love that I did it, right? But if I was selling security systems, I would say something like, it's usually the wives that want to feel protected and have that peace of mind. If I was able to get you all the smart home gadgets and all the security stuff, keep you connected to police and the fire department for just $39 a month, do you think she would really be against you spending like $1 a day to keep the family protected? Like, would she really be against that?
Reframing, right?
Yeah.
And understanding that.
Yeah.
Like, and you're not trying to be like a sleazy salesman. You're just trying to frame it so that it can add value to their lives.
Yeah. So
right?
all of this, it boils down to having conviction in your product and knowing that it's genuinely something that's going to help them, right? Oftentimes people wonder, isn't sales the same as manipulation, right? What's the difference between selling someone and scamming someone? I would argue that the exact same thing, but it just depends on the product that you're selling, right? If it isn't something that's actually in their best interest, then you're scamming them, right? But if it's something that's truly going to help them and it's the best product on the market, then it is your duty to sell them. Because if you don't, well, then they're going to continue to have the problems that they're having. Does that make sense?
It's the belief that you have, right? And it's like, yeah. And if you generally don't believe in this product and you're selling it to someone,
you shouldn't be selling it.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely. You need to find a different product to sell.
Yeah. Because solar, right? People, you can save money. Sun's always out. It's making the environment better.
Exactly.
Like the security home system you got.
Yeah.
It's just like you hear about robberies here and there around Edmonton and Calgary.
Yeah.
Right here in Sherwood Park.
Yeah.
So I like that.
100%.
Putting $1, would you spend $1 a day to keep the family safe?
Those are just standard responses, right? When you get into sales training for any product or service, they'll teach you what kind of responses you need to have, but it's about the larger framework, right? Someone tells me they want to talk to the wife and right away I get to my response. That's when they feel like I don't really understand them and it's you versus me. And a prospect like that is never going to buy, right? So you want to agree, you want to make them feel heard, you want to give you a response, and then you want to redirect into either closing or to the next feature, right? You never want to pause because it's very rare that a prospect will be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You handled my objection. Let's do it. That doesn't really happen.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I think that was just one of the frameworks. The other one was the feel, felt, found, right? So the way this is done is, for example, sometimes when I'm in these small towns and people are like, oh, I don't really believe in solar. I don't think it works, right? Because I've never heard of it. Nobody around them has solar, right? It's a really new product. So with them, I use the feel, felt, found, right? So with this, it's like, oh yeah, I understand how you feel about solar. I actually felt the exact same way when I first, joined this company. I was like, does it even work during the winters? Does it work during the night times? But what I found is that during the summer months, you'd produce so much excess power, you'd sell that to the grid, and the credits, you can use them during the winters and the nighttime so that you're able to get rid of that electricity bill. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is the feel, felt, found. So when I say I understand how you feel, again, it's not you versus me. We're a team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes me want to buy, but I already have solar. So
yeah. Well, if you guys don't, you should get solar.
Yeah, get some solar. This guy, dude, Dinkar. Yeah. What are some sales strategies or frameworks you think every beginner should know?
Well, other than the ones that I've already mentioned, the biggest one that, anybody should know, even if you're not in sales, you're just an entrepreneur, you're growing a business, you should know the PSTT framework. So this is problem, solution, tie down, and transition, right? So this is all sales really is. You're highlighting a problem someone has, you're giving them a solution, and then you're tying them down, meaning you're getting them to accept that the solution solves their problem. And then you just transition into closing the deal or transition into the next problem.
What are your closes?
What are my closes?
Yeah. Or if you don't mind revealing.
What do you mean?
Like usually there's like a sent or a question, right?
Okay.
Like a landing blow, like a final blow to the coffin.
So yes, this is a newbie thing. Only rookies think there's a magic line that gets you a close. Yeah, that is not true. Okay. Right? You want to always be closing. We call it ABC. Always be closing, right? When it comes to the end, the close should feel like a natural, seamless transition. It shouldn't feel like, oh, this big decision or this magic line this guy said makes me want to buy. It's not really like that. You want to have soft closes throughout. You want to option close them, or even if you're hard closing them, it should feel very natural, right? I can tell you more about these closes if you want to know, but it should not feel like a big thing at the end.
It should just flow with it, right?
Exactly. It should feel natural.
It's not like a build up to this grand thing. It's like you're already just providing information.
Yeah.
It's not like you're trying to convince them.
Yeah.
You're just going with the flow.
Exactly. By the time like I get to the close, the prospect already wants to do it. And it's just a matter of me asking for the sale. Sometimes I'm really like, so do you want to do it?
Yeah.
Right. But I'm like, does it make more sense to continue doing what you're doing with the utility company? Or does it make more sense to do the solar? And they're like, obviously solar. Right? It's not some magic line.
Yeah. What do you believe separates an average salesperson from a great one?
I would for sure say it's their integrity and their ethics, right? There are a lot of people that sell a lot, right? But they're doing unethical stuff. So I would argue the best of the best salesmen, they value morality and ethics, and they're there to serve the customer, not just to make a quick buck, right? That's what at least impresses me about a sales rep, right? I've seen plenty of people that have a really good track record. They sell a lot, they make a lot of money, but when you really get to know them, they're not ethical people, and they're pushing the line, and quite frankly, they're just scamming people, right? And that doesn't impress me. What separates the top sales rep is having that production, but also having ethics, having integrity, and a genuine desire to truly help people and serve, humanity and society. Yeah.
I think the natural way of going about things is very self-induced, right? You want to do everything for yourself. Yeah. But it takes conscious effort to be able to rewire your brain. Yeah. Go, I want to help others. I want to do it for compassion and I want to do it for love. And it's just, you go so far with the true ethics and morals that benefit everyone. Like if we lived in a society where everybody truly lived for other people, then we'd all be better off, right?
Yeah.
But
the thing is, it's levels of psychological development. Really, that's what it is. You should look into spiral dynamics. If you want to learn more about this, it really breaks down, the different levels of conscious psychological development that both people go through and even collectively as a society that we go through, right? And in the lower stages, you're really all about yourself because you need to meet your survival needs, right? Same thing with sales rep. Like if you're completely flat broke and you really need money, it's kind of hard to just look out for the customer's best interest, right? It's like, I need to pay rent tomorrow, right? I need to make this sale, right? But if someone's a good sales rep, right, and they have made a bunch of money, then they aren't so concerned about those, lower level survival needs, and they move to a higher level of consciousness where they're able to actually consider everyone around them, right? And consider, the larger impact of what they're doing, right? So that's why it impresses me only if a sales rep has that integrity. Does that make sense?
Yeah. As you build up in the levels, and once you, I think, have you heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Yeah. It's like, I think it's food in there, like the basic necessities, and like the safety, and then like connection, and then after that it's like love, sense of belonging, and then like the very last part's like self-actualization.
Yeah.
And usually that's where you want to do it for others and for a thing bigger than yourself.
Exactly.
And you want to do everything in your power to just stop thinking about the frivolous things.
Yeah.
And you want to truly change the world for the better and internalize that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if a sales rep hasn't got to that point, really makes me question, like, have they even made a bunch of money? Like, have they even got a lot of sales? Like, why are their survival needs still not met? There's definitely an issue there, right?
And then also a lot of it too is just the discipline when it comes to money. And because yes, you can be spending a lot of money, or you can be making a lot of money, but if you spend all of it, if you don't have the discipline to just save that money,
exactly,
then of course you're gonna keep running out. If you're going to the Nino every day, putting on a black and expecting your 5K to turn into the times 500, right? Like there's no shortcuts.
Right? Exactly. And definitely, there's so many different metrics you could look at to judge if a sales rep is a good sales rep or the best of the best. But if you just look at this one metric of, are they ethical? Are they really there to serve their customers? Right? It tells you about all the other metrics.
Because usually if that box checks, usually they're great with their family. Usually they work out. They're the type of person to put your needs above, theirs, and they're the ones to sacrifice, which is, it's very hard to find. Because yes, our natural tendency is to preserve our egos, we just want to be right all the time, and we want to be looked up and be in the spotlight. But no, life ain't like that. Like what has really impacted my life in a positive way is realizing I'm not anything special. It's liberating that I'm just a person that I can experience joy and anger, and yes, I make mistakes, but I can learn from them and I can still help people. And actually I'm gonna read you this quote which just blew my mind. It's from this anime called Jujutsu Kaisen.
I don't really watch anime, but I'm excited to hear it. Tell me about it.
Even if all good people died in peace and all evil people were punished in death, the problem would be that most people in the world are neither all good nor all evil. Death is the final destination for all of us, but no one dies the same death. Right? And it just got me thinking of, like, yes, we try to be good, right? And some people are just, just heinous and they do really bad shit. But we can also make mistakes. Like there's some bad that we do, but it's just having more good than bad going about your day and not chastising yourself for making that mistake. Because what I've done sometimes is whenever I make a mistake, I just double down on that. And then I just go, oh, this is part of my identity. This is me. Which is,
I just suck.
I suck. But no, pause. Like you can change. Like you can change. You can grow from that, and you can, like, it may happen again, but you can have better tools in your arsenal to be able to grow, to live a life of more meaning and more compassion, and to not 100%. Blow up at your friends,
But it just reminds me again of, consistency in the gym and working out. It's like, like sometimes you miss it. Like, life comes in the way and you missed your session today. Well, it's still in your control if you want to make that one missed day into 2, 3, 4, and then a whole week, or next day, do you want to get back on schedule?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You still have control over that.
Yeah, true.
Right?
What are the biggest differences between selling high ticket offers versus lower cost products?
I would argue there's not too much of a difference. It's just the amount of time it takes to actually close the deal, right? If it's, like a solar system that's $30,000-$40,000, you can't do that in one meeting, or you can't do that on the doorstep, right? It's just going to take multiple appointments.
Have you done it in the doorstep?
No, it's actually illegal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. You need to do an appointment. Yeah.
Okay.
In
okay.
Alberta, at least. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
If somebody's gonna do it, I feel like you'd be the guy to not like break the law, but if it was allowed.
I think it is a little unethical. Like, I mean, if you're talking to this grandma that is barely understanding, and you're just like, "Yep, sign here, $40,000."
Oh, really?
Right? And all of her savings are gone now, right? And maybe doesn't even get rid of her electricity bill. It gets very easy to do unethical stuff.
Oh, really?
If it's high ticket on the spot.
I guess.
Right?
Yeah, I hadn't really thought much about it.
Just intuitively, would you want to sign on some like $40K decision when you've just met me and spoken to me for like 10 minutes?
Maybe.
Well, maybe if I'm really good. Yeah. But it's just the number of appointments it takes.
That's fair. And so how many years have you done the high ticket sales? Because you did security.
I'm pretty new to it.
You did security, and how long did you do that for?
I did security and telecom, Wi-Fi, cell phone plans, things like that. I did that for 2 years. I was also an assistant manager with Telus for a year. So I was like training some sales reps and helping grow the team. And then high ticket sales, I'm pretty new to it, man. Like probably like 6 months to a year. Yeah, probably like 8-10 months, something like that. 3 months of online with, these coaches. And then like 3-4 months with solar.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
So, and you don't plan to stop?
Not anytime soon.
No.
Yeah. Well, I do want to retire. I don't want to be in sales forever. Like my plan is next 3 to 4 years, make enough money to get into real estate, have Airbnbs across the world, and then just keep bouncing around,
That's awesome.
Just live off of rental income.
That's dope. That's a great plan, man.
Thank you.
But I'm sure you're part of the FIRE movement, like the financial independent, retire early.
For sure. Yeah. I don't subscribe to the label, but definitely like the idea. Yeah.
Well, how has studying psychology helped you improve your sales performance and communication skills?
So I would say sales is just applied psychology, exactly like how, physics is applied math, right? But I wouldn't say like studying psychology directly helped me improve my sales ability. It was more of like, it helped me understand why we do certain things in sales, right? Instead of just like, just listening to whatever my managers and trainers taught me, I was like, oh, this is actually based off of that principle. That makes sense. This is why we do it this way, right? But, everything I was learning in school, like I'm a major in psychology. So everything I was learning, it was kind of bookish knowledge, right? It was all theory, right? What sales did for me was it helped me kind of internalize those psychology principles and apply them in real time, right? So being able to just read people's body language, their expressions, and then tailor my pitch, right? It's based on all the same psychology principles, but it's one thing to know it in like a bookish kind of theoretical way. It's another thing to have it internalized and be able to, talk in real time, right? But yeah, it definitely translates over a lot.
Yeah. There's I just took a social influence class.
Yes. I've done that.
The door in the face. Idea of
foot in the door,
the bait and switch.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, yes, you can go on the multiple choice and like see which one, decipher. Oh, that's foot in the door is when you make sure you offer someone like a smaller deal and then ramp it up later on. And door in the face is make sure you offer them a higher deal and then offer a smaller one to make sure they compare it and you need to be selective. But like going about it and putting it to play into real life.
Exactly.
Like that's when you don't think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, this is the door in the face technique. It's like, how do you convince these customers to buy from you? I'm gonna not make any money by giving them the idea.
Yeah, like, oh, let me look at my notes. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna do the foot in the door technique now.
Let me do the bait and switch.
Actually, that reminds me. So like with solar, initially when we knock the door, we say, we're just building out reports to see which homes can be energy independent, right? That's how we started. And then towards the end, we're saying, yeah, like if you want to see the numbers, we need to find out which incentives you're eligible for. So we'll have a solar educator pop by, right? We're setting up an appointment now. And when we get to the appointment, now we're closing a $30,000 deal, right? So it is foot in the door, and then you're slowly growing it, right? But understanding that it's foot in the door, it just helped me understand why we do these things, but it didn't actually help me do it. Right?
Yeah, true. Yeah. It's just like an idea for it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Do you leverage that sort of persuasion technique when you're convincing a buddy to, go out to the bar or something, or when you want a buddy to work out with you when he doesn't really want to, do you leverage
100%.
any of these?
So I need to switch my car's tires from the winter tires to the summer tires. And, 4 wheels, it's going to take me a while, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to call one of my friends and I'm going to be like, hey man, how's it going? Like chit chat, like genuinely catch up, see how he's doing and stuff. And I'll be like, yeah, like I need to change my, tires. Like, how do I do this? Right? First, I'll start with how do I do this? Right? And then
it's not a yes or a no.
Yeah,
it's like
he'll explain, you do this, you do that. And I'll be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do it later today evening. Like, what are your plans today? What are you up to? And then he'll be, if he's free, if he's not free, I'll find a different time. But as long as he's free, I'll be like, awesome, yeah, like let's come help me switch the tires, and then let's go grab dinner after.
Yeah. Close the deal. You close.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't add any compliments there though. Like, it seems like you're really knowledgeable with cars, man. You've always been that type of guy.
Of course. Yeah, all of that.
You can't forget the compliments.
Yeah,
I learned that in my social influence class. That even if the person doesn't think you're genuine, like even if it's like clearly a fake compliment. They will still be more persuaded.
100%.
Like if I noticed this with some people at the gym that don't like me, and I'll but it's like that person that we're in a circle together with mutual friends that do like me and I like them. I can tell this person doesn't like me. But if I compliment that person that doesn't like me, like generally, it's genuine for me. They open up a little bit, They're like, oh,
everybody likes compliments.
This guy's not so bad at all.
Yeah.
He just
Even if it's like, a sleazy kind of fake compliment, it's still it's the thought that counts. It's like, at least you put the effort to try to make a compliment.
Like
show some intention.
Sure. It was like, it was a bit sarcastic, right? But
man, like I'll knock a door and it's like a 40-year-old woman. And I'll be like, are you the homeowner? She's like, yeah, I am. And I'm like, you seem a little young to own the house. Like, are your parents around? And I start laughing. And she knows it's bullshit. But, she's laughing too now. And her guard's down.
You must be the boss around here is a big one they taught us in the pest control company that I was with. You must be
the queen of the castle. Or,
Thanks for not sticking the guard dog on me.
It's like, it's like kind of like silly and, a little cringy, but it's like, it's the thought that counts. You took the time and you had the intention.
Makes you human. Yeah. It's dude, I'm thankful I got to work that job too, even though it was just 2 weeks. And
you learn so much.
Exponential growth just when it comes to just icebreakers alone, man. I didn't know they were so big up until, I started these people that had a scowl on their face were turned into, they let their guard down because I said, hey, you must be the boss around here. You could say that, only when my wife's not around or like, hey, thanks for not sticking the guard dog on me. And then they're like, oh, it's just a poodle.
Exactly. Another one line I like to use, if I see someone working outside, mowing the lawn or something, I'm like, hey man, how's it going? Are you working super hard today or are you hardly working? And then that's all laughing. I'm like, oh, no, that one. And now we're just chilling, Yeah.
That's awesome. Can you share a personal challenge that forced you to grow mentally or emotionally and what you learned from it?
Oh, man, there's so many, man. I've been through a lot of shit, whether it be loneliness, mental health issues, bad breakups. There's so much. Like, I don't know how much we want to get into, but, from every difficulty I've faced in life, if I could say one thing, for the viewers here, I would say, life is not happening to you. It's happening for you and it's happening from you, right? All these challenges, all these struggles that you face, they're part of your story to greatness, but you're only going to get there if you can persevere and push through, right? you're going to have a victim mindset and you're going to let these things affect you, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy where negativity attracts only more negativity, right? So just keep going, stay positive, brush off all the difficulties and the rejection. It's literally all the same stuff I've learned in door to door. It applies to all, challenges and struggles in life. Yeah.
I had this big revelation just this weekend, actually. Just, like that passage I told you, or like the quote from the anime I watched, that because like throughout all my life, I've always just held on to the bad shit that I've done. I'm always like, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy where, I wronged this person. I treated my ex-girlfriend bad. Like that must mean I am a terrible person. And then this is the way I'm going out to be. And like what she thinks of me is true. But like change is possible. Right. And like when you brush it off and you go, okay, that happened to me. Yeah. And the future is uncertain. There's all these things that are going to pop up that are out of my control. But what can I do to ensure that I'm
Because life is happening from you, right? You're the one creating your life. It is in your control, right? And, it's one thing when you're feeling guilty about things, and I definitely do about things too in the past, right? But it's another thing when you feel like the whole world is against you and it's like, why does shit keep happening to me? Well, it's not happening to you. It's happening for you because there are lessons for you to decipher and learn from, right? And if you can have that mindset of, things aren't happening to me. It's happening for me and it's happening from me. That gives you an empowered state where you can go create the life of your dreams, which is what you're meant to do anyway. That's why we were put here on earth.
Yeah. Like in retrospect, all the struggles that we've had to go through, it all makes sense. Like, it was at this point where I lost my friend here that I learned not to take people for granted. And I didn't blow up at this person and that actually had better outcomes. And then I blew up with this person and our entire friendship is tarnished, or that girl ended up hating me, or that I got in a fight with my dad, or I was looking in the mirror for hours on end, just like berating myself. That's why I know what it's like to be like this. And it all makes so much sense, right? But during it, it's like, it's the end of the world, but you got through it.
Yeah, exactly. Like and, every L can be a lesson if you can see the bigger picture.
Right? Like there's this quote of focus on the leaf, miss the branch, focus on the tree, miss the entire forest.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
The more you kind of zoom out, it's like that day just pales in comparison to your entire livelihood. Yeah. Like we're all going to feel misery, and we're all going to feel that down spiral, like everything's going wrong. I feel all alone. Yeah. But it's like it passes, man. And then how good
every day is a new day.
Yeah. How good will that next sale, that next workout be when you're actually feeling optimal, when you're feeling good, because you've experienced all the bad shit. Now you can actually still keep going. And this quote that I always keep thinking about all the time, and it's courage is not going on when you have strength, it's going on when you have none.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Like, do you still go to work when you're in misery? Yeah. Do you still work out? Yeah, of course.
That's the only way out.
Yeah.
Right? If you just sit in a corner, it's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah. Right? And dude, I have some buddies of mine that have done that, and it's tough, dude. We're all susceptible to it, right?
Yeah, it's always tragic and heartbreaking, but all you can do is get yourself right so that at least the people around you can be inspired, right? The other thing that comes to mind is, in sales, we say no just means next opportunity. N-O, next opportunity, right? So you could have a door here that, really yells at you and tells you to fuck off and never come back. And the next one could be a sale, right? It literally happens all the time. Like the people that are in the trenches, they know this, right? But the thing is, if you carry the weight of this guy yelling at you, you will never get the sale. Even if it was a complete laydown, even if they were already looking for the product, if you just go there with this feeling of, oh, like people just hate me, that guy said fuck off, like I just suck, and then you go to this opportunity, you're just going to ruin it. Right. So yeah, just wanted to share that.
Dude, self-talk is huge, eh? Like sometimes it's out of your control when you make a mistake, you call yourself a loser, right? Or you do this, but there's a psychologist named Paul Conti where if you picture a bowl and you're putting dye in it, and slowly, right, you do the little drops, and with whatever drops you're putting in, that's going to make up the entire bowl. And this is the same way with the self-talk that we have.
Yeah.
If you say love 100 times, 1,000 times in your head, you're going to be repeating it. If you're calling yourself stupid 1,000 times, you're probably going to be stupid. You know, you're going to be a loser. You're going to be like, I don't subscribe to this like self-affirmation thing. Like I like results, right? But at the same time, your mind needs to be on your side.
Exactly.
To get after results.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like how do you go about your self-talk?
Again, it's pretty internalized, man. Like, if I, when I mess up something, I don't really tell myself I suck. I tell myself I'm getting better, right? I tell myself, oh, I'm learning, right? Each time I try this, I get a little bit better, right?
But do you ever get it in the back of your head that, what I'm saying is just fake? Do you ever get that? Where it's like,
what is real?
Yeah, I guess you're right. Like,
how is it real when you tell yourself you suck?
Like,
how do you know that's real? Maybe that's fake too.
Yeah, that's true. Because sometimes I'll be like, yeah, I can do this. I'm a beast. But then there's just like, that like devil and the angel on the side. Like, yeah, I'm a beast. But at the same time, there's like this other voice where it's like, you're not enough. You'll never be good enough.
Yeah. Well, maybe, the truth is somewhere in between. Maybe, you're exaggerating a little when you say, you're the best and you know everything, right? But you can still be realistic and still be positive, right? You can still tell yourself, hey, I'm not there yet, but I'm getting better. I can do this. I can do anything I want to do, right? I'm going to figure this out, right? Those are still things that you can realistically tell yourself and you're not lying.
Yeah. How did you go about the, repeat the I have to again with the mental framework that you had?
I have to?
This is happening for me. This is not happening to me. How did you go about internalizing that idea?
I think just reading a lot of books, listening to a lot of YouTube. A lot of this is from just spiritual insights itself, right? Like firsthand experience from a lot of meditation, things like that. Listening to other spiritual teachers, or just even general self-help, psychology. Like these principles are just standard principles. Right before we started the podcast, I was telling you, like success principles, they've been the same throughout time, right? It's always been the same, right? And it's you have the blueprint if you're willing to study it. And then it's on you to internalize it through practice.
Yeah. That reminds me of, like there's all these different quotes, right? I could quote you a million different things about discipline, about love, about compassion.
Yeah.
I can quote you all these things that are supposed to nourish your soul, and all the lessons are there, right? In fact, it's in our phones, it's on the internet, it's through in the library, it's from the experiences from your father, from your mother, from the friend that survived cancer, that survived obesity and somehow lost all that weight. There's all these lessons. Everything's been said and done, but nobody was listening. So and for most of us, we have to learn the hard way. Of like, don't just marry for a pretty face. Don't just don't take your family for granted. Prioritize your health. That's the only thing. That's the most important thing in life. And like we know that. Everybody has heard that, right? But it's like how you don't actually know up until you see your friend dying.
Sometimes you just have to learn the lessons the hard way. Right? And that's life. But you can still try to be ahead of the curve and actually, dedicate time to studying, right? Like we go to school and we just kind of go with the motions and we're studying what we don't even want to study. But the point of school, I really believe, is to learn how to study, right? How to actually sit down and prepare for an exam, right? And you can take that skill set and, it's almost like a meta skill set that you can use to learn any other skill set, right? If you want to be successful, start reading books on success. If you want to improve your mental health, start reading books on that, right? Like actually study it, right?
And then the preparation too, you mentioned that yes, reading books and projecting how you can optimize this 1 year down the road. Like tomorrow, how will the version of me feel, right? And just going about it through trial and error as well, because there's so many things in life too where like there's all these different diets, right? Like I'm sure you've probably gone through countless amounts of diets when it comes to just intermittent fasting, like keto and all that, and meditation, right? There's all these different types of meditations, but it's not all going to work for you, right? There's some people just like certain movies.
Yeah.
Maybe you like comedy, maybe you do this, but for life itself, right? You have to really, really structure it so that it's on your side. Because if you are just a person that hates meditation and then your friend keeps telling you it and you keep doing it and you just don't like it, then you're just making your life miserable.
Yeah, you don't have to do meditation. There's so many different spiritual practices you could look into, right? I would say it's more important to have some sort of spiritual practice instead of just trying to force your way to meditate if it's just not for you.
Yeah.
Right?
What's your morning routine look like?
Ooh, right now it's kind of crazy. I do not have a routine right now, if I'm being honest.
Oh yeah.
Simply because we're launching a brand new sales team, right? With solar. I'm building a new office. I'm training reps. It's crazy. Like I wake up at 8:30, my phone is going off, right? I go to bed at 12. Until 12, I'm either training myself, training someone else, doing admin stuff, taking calls, talking to customers, closing deals. Like it's crazy, right? And I don't have a fixed schedule, but what I do make time for is exercise, gym. I'm not meditating too much right now, again, because of the time commitment, but I make sure I at least pray or I listen to like a spiritual teacher as I'm falling asleep, right? What else? I am also like, I like reading physical books, right? Because you get to take your time with it. But right now, because I'm so busy, I'm still making time to listen to audiobooks on my drives. Anytime I'm driving, swap out the music for an audiobook.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's like the little things, hey? They add up to amalgamate to something phenomenal. Yeah. Why and how do you master yourself and reach your goals when it comes to self-mastery?
Yeah. So I'm actually building a community called Meta Society. It's pretty much for people in Canadian universities, mostly for guys. But there I really talk about this, right? To get optimized, you need to focus on 6 pillars of your life, right? I learned this from my millionaire mentors at Legacy, so I want to give them a shout out to Jason, Arjun, and Rohan. They've been awesome. They taught me this stuff, right? But the 6 pillars, the acronym for it is SEMPS. So they are spiritual, emotional, mental, physical, and social, right? So these 6 pillars of your life, if you can, dedicate some amount of time to them, you can stay optimized and you don't really burn out, right? A lot of people, they're like, oh, I can't really work so hard because I'm going to burn out, right? Or when they try working hard, they're like, oh my God, I'm just so stressed. I need to take a day off, right? I need to recharge. I need to refresh, right? Now, the thing is, if you're really ambitious, you can't run life like that. It's impossible for you to just...
Sacrifices, bro.
Yeah. So it's how do you, work extremely hard, and become a millionaire? My mentors that taught me this, but at the same time, not burn out, right? The trick to it is actually making time for these 6 pillars, right? Kind of how you asked me, what's your morning routine? Man, I'm so busy, I don't have one, but I still make time for these things, right? And there's a bunch of different stuff you can, do for each of these pillars. If I kind of went into that, this podcast is going to be a couple hours long.
That'll be for the next pod then.
Yeah, for the next one. Or check out Meta Society. You'll find it on there too.
Society.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.
Yeah, I like the non-negotiables you have of just the reading and the gym.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure you're probably taking a bunch of phone calls when you're at the gym too, hey?
Oh yeah, I'm on my phone, I'm texting people, I'm taking calls, but I'm still hitting my sets in between.
Dude, that's my first interaction or the few times that I seen the top guy at the sales company for pest control he was always in a phone call.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I never knew somebody could be taking that many phone calls.
Yeah.
We'd be midway through a conversation and
Yeah.
he'd get a phone call, and then the end of it, the start
Yeah.
of it, and then he'd get another phone call. And
Yeah.
next thing you know, he's having 4 or 5 meetings.
Exactly.
I think business is just, you're talking to so many people
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if you want to be a business owner, like forget about work-life balance. That's
Yeah.
not for you. Right?
Yeah. A lot of people that do say work-life balance have already made their sacrifices in their
Exactly.
20s, you know, like
Yeah.
when you ask a person who's already become a millionaire.
Yeah. Once you made
like,
it, then
yeah,
you can,
they're
have
like,
work-life
yeah,
balance.
for me, it's the work-life
Yeah.
balance. So you have to always make time for your kids and all
Yeah.
this. But then if you go back to when they were like 10
Yeah,
years ago, they were
exactly.
hustling and grinding.
100%. Yeah.
And
Or they were trust fund kids.
yeah, or that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It always goes to show, just like from their perceptions, right? It's like it's all morphed because they forget what it was like. Like
Mhm.
talking to them 10 years ago would have been different. You have to hustle and grind.
Yeah.
The same way, I don't know if this is like a clear connection, but every time you ask or a woman gives you advice, like
Mhm.
the woman in my life, like my sister, my mom,
Yeah.
or just even some mother figures that I have like
Yeah.
through school.
Right.
If I ask them for some relationship advice,
Yeah.
they're always like, just wait for the right one, that it
Yeah,
will come.
well,
From their
ask a
perspective,
guy.
their perspective,
Yeah.
the guy is the one hustling to go out and make it happen,
course.
right?
Yeah.
Well, the woman just like stands there and just waits
Yeah.
for the date,
Yeah.
waits for the guy to come. So from their perspective, it seems like really logical to say, hey, yeah, it happened to me.
Yeah.
So for you, just wait for love.
Yeah.
But no, if you're a guy, that's not gonna happen. You know, but from a woman's perspective, he asked me out on the date.
Yeah.
He was the one that sent me the text. He's the one that made this happen. Right.
Exactly.
So it really depends kind of who you're asking and what kind of results you're wanting. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't ask a fish how to catch fish. You would ask a fisherman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, exactly. It's like a lot of it's like
Yeah.
the framing around it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. But thank you for coming on the long-term podcast,
No,
brother.
thank you for having me, man.
Yeah.
It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
tell you're hustling out there, and thank you so much still for making time for this pod.
No,
You're
it's been
really,
my pleasure, man.
You're a
Nothing
really
but
busy
grateful.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really
Awesome.
thankful. I can tell you're gonna go far above and beyond.
Thank you.
And I'm rooting for you, dude.
You as well, man. You
Yep.
as well.
Mhm.
I want to see you crush it in life.
Yeah, dude. The Airbnbs one of these days, man.
Yeah.
I'll have to rent them out too. And so
Let's go anytime.
hopefully you give me a discount or
I
something.
will, 100%.
Yeah. Okay, I got them on video. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, dude. You got any last words to somebody who may feel, like sales, they're doubting it, or
Just keep fucking going. Don't
Yeah.
stop. That's
Yeah.
it. Keep
Yeah.
fucking going.
hell yeah. But yeah, as always, to everyone listening and watching, there is a place for you in this chaotic world. Never lose hope, strengthen your faith, and keep it long term. Dinkar Pathak, everyone.
Thank you.
Pronounce that right?
Good enough.
No,
that's good, man. It's
I don't
fine.
want the ancestors to come
Yeah.
after me and butcher me.
No, you're good.